Or an accident? Call Brown and Crouppen. We'll walk you through it. Worried it'll cost too much? Here's a fact. At Brown and Crouppen, you pay nothing up front, and we never get paid unless you do. When you're our client, you'll have all your questions answered, all for free. Hurt? Get the facts and help you need. Call Brown and Crouppen now.
The Lou Information Station. We're from St. Louis too, so, we're pretty much the same as John Hamm and John Goodman.
The whole world's on Friday!
Just without all that Hollywood money. At LouInfo.com. It's Wrestling on the Spectrum, featuring Brody the Brain Herman, powered by the law firm of Brown and Crouppen, uncovering the hidden history, pro wrestling patterns, and the stories behind the stories for unapologetic wrestling fanatics. He doesn't just watch wrestling, he decodes it. Here's Brody, Patrico, and Jeremy on the Lou Information Station.
Alrighty then. Kyle Fletcher has won the AEW TNT Championship, and today it's Valentine's Day, so we're going to talk about the best and worst in romance in the sport of professional wrestling. All that and more today on Wrestling on the Spectrum.
Hey, Brody, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, Dave. How about yourself?
I am doing well. We are flying without Flying Ryan today. Flying Ryan got a little sidetracked on his way in, and we've got Patrico out doing Mardi Gras and Jeremy out of town, so it's just you and me, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. I'm looking forward to it. Couldn't be better. Alrighty then. So recently, AEW, Tommaso Ciampa, after debuting from WWE and beating Mark Briscoe for the AEW TNT Championship on a recent Dynamite, Kyle Fletcher beats Tommaso Ciampa. So Tommaso Ciampa comes in from WWE. He beats a beloved babyface in Mark Briscoe, and then Ciampa confronts Kyle Fletcher. Ciampa and Briscoe hugged at the end of their match, and then after that, Kyle Fletcher confronted Ciampa. They booked the match for Dynamite, and Kyle Fletcher won the AEW TNT Championship. Don't understand the booking decision here by Tony Khan. Ciampa comes in, he wins his first match, he wins gold. This is an ex-WWE guy getting a big push, and he loses to Fletcher almost immediately after winning the title. Now, I know that Kyle Fletcher is a budgeting star in AEW, but quite frankly, I don't really understand the decision here. Maybe Ciampa's injured, maybe they're going to have a rematch soon. I don't really understand why this is happening, but it's a quick title change coming regarding the AEW TNT Championship. I'm kind of puzzled by this move. I don't know why, but I'm very puzzled by this. Is Ciampa injured? We're going to find out more about the situation in the upcoming days. And, of course, WWE for Elimination Chamber, they're going to be in Chicago, February 28th, 2026. Right now, LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, and Randy Orton are all qualified for the men's Elimination Chamber match. Tiffany Stratton, Rhea Ripley, and Alexa Bliss have qualified for the Women's World Championship match, Elimination Chamber match, in order for a World Championship match at WrestleMania. Also announced, Becky Lynch is going to defend her Women's Intercontinental Championship against AJ Lee, and CM Punk will be wrestling in Chicago as he defends the World Heavyweight Championship against Finn Balor. So several matches have already been announced for Elimination Chamber 2026. Now, of course, it's Valentine's Day, so everyone, I love you, as Brother Love would say, of course. I want to announce ringclassics.com. That's right, ringclassics.com has all of your favorite podcasts on the Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff, and of course, Have More Money Now is the newest one where JBL and Conrad talk about all things financial. So check that out. They've got a social media account at Have More Money Now on X, and of course, all your other favorite podcasts, My World with Jeff Jarrett. You got What Happened When with Tony Schiavone, Gorilla and JR, and more on ringclassics.com. Bonus content is now down to $13. No more clunky Patreon, and 3 to 4 big events a year, folks. Ringclassics.com. You can download the app on the App Store and Google Play. I'm looking forward to this. I'm so excited. And Conrad and the team are giving you so much wrestling content, and it's coming right down the pike. Couldn't be more excited about that.
Well, Brody, that a lot of that is about the experiences, right?
Yep.
Having the opportunity to, in fact, they were just in Atlanta doing something where they had the opportunity to get in the ring. They get the opportunity to work, whether you want to be a broadcaster, whether you want to be a referee, you want to be a commentator, right, to get the experience and do that. And there's a lot of things that you can do with Ring Classics, and glad you brought that up. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, when we talk about wrestling and we talk about Valentine's Day, folks, just sit back, Pop open her favorite beverage of champagne, enjoy your box of chocolates or chocolate-covered strawberries, and enjoy this Valentine's Day romance edition of Wrestling on the Spectrum. Now, we're going to dive in to a wrestling-themed pay-per-view. We're going to do a little bit of a pay-per-view recap. I know a lot, if you listen to any of Conrad's podcasts, you'll know that this is something very familiar, but what better show to highlight today than St. Valentine's Day Massacre. 1999, it took place February 14th, 1999, Memphis, Tennessee, in the Memphis Pyramid, where attendance was 19,000 people. And of course, going over the matches here, a lot was going on in the company at this period of time. So Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara had taken over the writing team, had now fully established themselves as the writing team. Of course, Terry Taylor joined on board, Bill Banks. There are a lot of people integrally involved in the creative process, Bruce Pritchard as well. And it was kind of in the peak of the Attitude Era as we were on the road to WrestleMania 15. And of course, starting off this pay-per-view, we had an interesting match between Goldust and Blue Dust. Blue Dust was the Blue Meanie at that time. He had just joined the WWE recently that November, and he was going by Blue Dust. Of course, Goldust took care of him in quick fashion at 3 minutes and 4 seconds. And then we had a hardcore match for the vacant WWF Hardcore Championship. Of course, Vince Russo loves matches with no rules and matches that don't make any sense. So Bob Holly defeated Al Snow in quick fashion. And without a doubt, this was a stellar, showing by Bob Holly. I remember it very, very well. And of course, the next match, Big Boss Man defeated Midian. Big Boss Man had just come back that November. He had that bullet jacket going on there. He had that straight vest going. It was more of a darker color comparably to his blue attire before, when he looked more like a prison guard. Came and defeated Midian in quick fashion there in a 6-minute, 19-second match. And of course, Midian was Dennis Knight and was part of that Undertaker corporate ministry that was happening at around this time. And a quick story about Big Boss Man. At that pay-per-view at Survivor Series 1998, Big Boss Man was supposed to come out and hit Steve Austin with a chair, but he was actually talking in the locker room with the Undertaker. So that tells you all you need to know. And of course, he's going to enter in one of the first initial feuds of this guy that is going to debut later in the show. Of course, one of the last pay-per-view appearances with this tag team, Jeff Jarrett and Owen Hart defeated D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry by submission for the WWE Tag Team Championship. They retained. And of course, Jeff Jarrett treasures his time being the tag team partner of Owen Hart. He still talks about those times very, very fondly with Owen. He would pass away that May in 1999 in one of their last matches together. What a special, special treat the folks in Memphis got to see it. Of course, for the WWE Intercontinental Championship, Billy Gunn was the special guest referee. Val Venus that night defeated Ken Shamrock to win the WWF Intercontinental Championship. Of course, Val Venus at that time was a Vince Russo creation to a T. For those who don't know, that is Sean Morley. And he was a bit of he was kind of like an adult film star gimmick that Vince Russo had put upon him. And he had that gimmick for a long time in WWE, at least a decade. And now I don't know what Sean Morley's thinking. I the marijuana and everything. I know he's an interesting character to this day, but I'll tell you, what a bizarre thing. And of course, I think around this time, Mark Henry was also sexual chocolate, for those who don't know. And we're going to talk about another odd romantic thing I'm going to stick in here as an anecdote here. When him and Mae Young had an odd relationship, he gave birth to a hand. My gosh, was that just bizarre. My goodness.
Wait a minute. You're going to have to explain that. For those that didn't see it, tell us what that was.
A Vince Russo, Ed Ferrara creation. And apparently at this point, Mae Young, for those who don't know, is one of the pioneers in female wrestling. She was quite old at that point, and they were doing something with Henry and Mae Young. And it's just weird, this weird, I don't even know what to describe it as. Was it a relationship? I can't answer that, but
with quotes, air quotes.
Yeah, air quotes, right? Relationship. And all of a sudden, this segment gave birth to a hand because that's what just Vince Russo did. I don't know. This was a very peak Vince Russo time. There's going to be a lot of Vince Russo-isms going on all throughout this program, probably. The corporation, Chyna and Kane, defeated D-Generation X, Triple H, and X-Pac. Okay, so Chyna's no longer with DX, which, in my opinion, was not good for her career because really after her DX run, she kind of was in a downhill spiral from that point, never really recovered after that. And of course, for wrestling couples, Chyna and Triple H were together at one point, and that was a pretty integral relationship. Of course, she's paired up with Kane, and they defeated D-Generation X of Triple H and X-Pac. Fun fact, Chyna had a relationship with all three of these wrestlers in the match. X-Pac, wow. Triple H, and of course Kane on screen, but her opponents that she was facing against, she had a relationship with both Triple H and X-Pac. So very interesting there. And of course, the last man standing match for the WWF Championship at that time. Mankind, Mick Foley, and The Rock ended in a draw. For those who don't know, Mankind and The Rock had an epic feud at that point. The title was exchanging hands from each other. The Rock and Mick Foley being elevated to the moon. One of probably the highlights of the Vince Russo era was the three faces of Foley, and he was Mankind here. And of course, they had a match at the Super Bowl halftime show where Mankind had won the championship. So now we now know it to be an epic win for Mankind. And now we're going to get to the main event match, because this was going to determine the number one contender for the WWF Championship at WrestleMania 15. This is when The Rock and Steve Austin would face off against each other. Now, The Rock did not win the title at this particular night. He would win the title later on, and it would be The Rock. No, it would be The Rock versus Steve Austin at WrestleMania. I'll say this. The Rock and Steve Austin is one of the most epic feuds in wrestling history. Probably the biggest feud in wrestling history. And of course, who won the Royal Rumble that year was Vince McMahon, which made no sense. Why is Vince McMahon win the Royal Rumble? That was in 1999. Again, Vince Russo, and I'm sure McMahon had a hand in it. I have no doubt in my mind The Rock would win the title at a Raw in Birmingham. Vince had a hand in that. Great. Steve Austin escaped the cage and defeated Vince McMahon. Now, this is very important because St. Valentine's Day Massacre, not a lot of people view this as a Valentine's Day moment. The Big Show debuted that night. The Big Show. And for folks who don't know, The Big Show, TBS. That's all you need to know. Turner Broadcasting. So he came over from WCW. He was known as the Giant. Hulk Hogan was instrumental in his push early on. He won a championship match in his first night in WCW. He beat Hulk Hogan at Halloween Havoc. And that was an epic win, and he'd be pushed to the moon, but obviously the land of the Giants, we all know, is the WWE. So he would debut here and would feud almost immediately with the Big Boss Man, who we talked about earlier, defeating Mideon. But that was the most memorable thing of St. Valentine's Day Massacre, was that match. And without a doubt, one of the things about wrestling that's interesting is how many Valentine's Day moments have been in the sport of professional wrestling. And of course, memories serve me best. I think it was the day actually after Valentine's Day when when Eddie Guerrero defeated Brock Lesnar, No Way Out 2004. And that's when he won the WWE Championship, I believe, for the only time. So unfortunately, rest in peace, Eddie Guerrero. That's what happened there. Valentine's Day. It's one of those things that is hard to forget in that match. And of course, a lot of fans were frustrated for the St. Valentine's Day Massacre championship finish. They were upset because they drew there, and it wasn't a clean cut finish. It wasn't a clean cut finish in that match, but just wild Valentine's Day moments. Just wow, that is it's just very, very, very interesting. But a lot of the worst romantic moments in professional wrestling, of course, when Booker T and Sharmell were hunted by Boogeyman, was just one of the things that came to my mind, and just not time. And of course, in that era, most notably in the Attitude Era, Triple H and Chyna were a big couple at that time in that era. I mean, nowadays in wrestling, it seems like everybody's dating each other. Everybody's just dating each other. I don't get it. Everybody's dating each other. They're all together. I have no idea, but they're all together. I don't get it, but they're all together.
We obviously have the lines blurred between whether or not they're dating in real life or dating on screen. As you mentioned, that Chyna had relationships with 3 people in one match, and one of them was just an on-screen, but 2 of them were
actual partners of hers. Unbelievable. How many weird relationships has Kane had? The person, speaking of which, you should tag team up with. So he has a weird relationship with Lita on television. Do we remember that? He had a thing with Lita going on. And we're going to get to Lita in a second. But the Katie Vick incident, come on. What the heck was that? I don't get it. The build their match up to No Mercy. He apparently said Triple H claimed he was in a relationship with a mysterious woman, Katie Vick. I don't get it. I still don't get it. Nobody else got it either.
And if somebody doesn't know, explain what led up to that.
What led up to that is that somehow this was a feud between Kane and Triple H for the World Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championships, and the build up to their match at No Mercy. Triple H is claiming that Kane has had a relationship in the past with a mystery woman named Katie Vick, and nobody understood this at all. And and then it just kind of fell out of favor. I didn't get it. You know what was crazy about that? All the weird romance going on was really revving up like an engine. Remember when Diamond Dallas Page came in as a stalker, and apparently he was stalking the Undertaker, and think that was some romance thing that they had going on where he was after somebody. I don't remember, but it was just bizarre. I can't answer that. It was just one of those times I didn't get it. Another thing that I was confused about too is when they did the remember Matt Hardy, it was at Edge and Lita had a live celebration on TV. He had one of the craziest romantic moments I can ever remember. That was just bizarre to me. I have no idea why, they even did that, because there's a legitimate, issue at that time on Bite This. Lita was on Bite This. For those who don't remember, Bite This was a, the internet wrestling show that was starting out, and Kevin Kelly was doing it. Oh my God, this is going to be revolutionary. Didn't go anywhere. But
what was the premise?
It was just called Bite This, and it got big because Jim Cornette was on it initially, and then Vince is like, "What did you say on Bite This?" And then that was just on Raw, and then all of a sudden after that, it was no more this. Even though it lasted a really long time, that lasted all the way through 2005, 2006. It was something for just to have Kevin Kelly do something, because Kevin Dunn had Kevin Kelly do something because he didn't want Kevin Kelly on television and wanted Michael Cole instead. But that's kind of where it was going. That was it. Bite This, for those who don't know. And then they had that weird Edge, Matt Hardy, Lita love triangle that I just, okay. And then a live celebration in the ring. It was total distraction. At that time, Edge was pushed as a main eventer. He'd won the WWE Championship. We're being confused with this. And by the way, Lita's had a relationship in real life with CM Punk. So for those who don't know, CM Punk is another one. He's got a lot of relationships going. A lot of relationships going on. A lot of things. A lot of these guys are just all together. Oh my gosh, you can't beat this. You can't beat the classics. I mean, CM Punk. Edge is currently married to Beth Phoenix in real life. You can't write it any better, right? You know what? At least for Beth Phoenix, Edge is a lot better than Santino Marella. For those who don't remember that romance on WWE TV, Santino Marella and Beth Phoenix. What a disaster! My gosh, I just. At times in my life, I can't even believe all the things going on. What was it? Didn't Chris Jericho, I'm trying to remember this correctly, he had the Planet of the Apes come out on television and handed Stephanie, I think, was it flowers? Was it some type of present? Yeah, it was flowers and some type of present, because WWE was doing some type of crossover with the Planet of the Apes, and they're coming out on television, and Chris Jericho is being given gifts. I have no idea what this was, but it was something. It was Planet of the Apes. Let's just go out there, trot him out there, hand a gift to Stephanie. And by the way, when we talk about wrestling couples, folks, there's nothing better than Stephanie and Triple H. Nothing better than that. They're the preeminent wrestling power couple. Them and Randy Macho Man Savage and Miss Elizabeth are the two greatest couples in the history of the sport of professional wrestling, and nothing tops those two. I mean, I know that there are some honorable mentions, but for Christ's sakes, it's those two. And of course, right now, it's Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, CM Punk, AJ Lee. You got all these things. Zelina Vega and Malachi Black and Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green and Miz and Maurice, underrated couple, I would say. No doubt about that. I mean, there's just a lot of couples in wrestling. How could you beat that? I mean, Mickey James and Mick Aldis, even though you never see that on TV. Natalya and Tyson Kidd are together. Tyson Kidd works integrally behind the scenes as an agent in WWE. So for those who don't know, and just a lot of great couples. Obviously, we know Naomi and Jey Uso, Karrion Kross and Scarlett. A lot of great couples in wrestling. Of course, they've had a reality TV show about the Miz and Mrs. This is a real thing, folks. I'm telling you. Bianca Belair and Montez Ford. You can't beat that. You can't beat the classics of wrestling couples. Now, the bigger question is, who is the greatest wrestling couple that was on TV but wasn't actually together? My gosh, I can't think of it. I got to think of Dustin Rhodes and Marlena. Probably has got to be up there. Goldust and Marlena, or Marlena at one point. I think Marlena even kissed Kane. How many wrestlers has Kane kissed on television? My gosh, he's kissed a lot of people. Katie Vick, Marlena, AJ Lee. He's kissed everybody. What he can't stop. He's kissing everybody. Now Triple H has had two of them, obviously, Chyna and Stephanie McMahon, but. My gosh, he's kissing everybody. Can I
ask you about the appeal of Chyna?
Yes, you can.
I don't get it at all.
I don't get it. I never got it. Never got you. I'll tell you a story, and it'll make you laugh, Dave. Chyna actually got constructive surgery to fix her jaw and was forced she missed an appearance and was upset at Jim Cornette for booking her for appearance because he didn't account for the fact that her jaw was so massive, and got a surgery to chop down her jaw. She had a relationship with a lot of wrestlers, Triple H, X-Pac, So definitely in there. And of course, nothing beats that. I can't explain to you how ridiculous. And they had a relation. China and Eddie Guerrero had a bit of a relationship on television. Now, best storyline relationship going on right now, Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. Last night, they had a little bit of a Valentine's Day sage going on. Of course, Lana and Rusev real-life couples, so that was prominently featured on WWE television. Christian and Trish Stratus were together for a cup of coffee, both Canadians. I kind of get it. Listen, it's all good. It's all good, right and just with the world to have them all together, but Eminem was great. Morrison, Mercury, and Melina, great team. Woman and two men. Oh my gosh, what a wild thing. I no care in the world. I never got Eve Torres either. Eve Torres and Zack Ryder. That was weird. Weird times we were living in at that point. All the silly romance going on in wrestling, going on at that time. Just absolute silliness. My gosh, so much going on.
You mentioned the King and Queen, right? The power couple of Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. For those that didn't follow the story then, how did because I can only imagine what the locker room was like when Triple H first got together with Vince's daughter.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, initially, it wasn't, I guess it was an on-screen, little fling with Stephanie and Triple H, became a prominent power couple on screen, and then they started to kind of get to know each other a little bit, and then in real life, they were like welding the fuses together. Sure, Vince wasn't happy that she was probably dating one of the boys, but guess what? They're still married since 2003. And by the way, at that wedding, the best part about that wedding is Michael Hayes. Michael Hayes, when he goes up there and sings Jailhouse Rock, is the most hysterically funny thing ever. And then he tries to sing another song, and he had a little too much to drink, and Linda cut him off. But with all the stuff Michael Hayes has done, it is a true testament that he's still in WWE. And even he would tell you that. Even Michael P.S. Hayes would tell you that it is a testament. He is still in WWE. I cannot believe that he is still in WWE to this day. I'm still shocked. I'm just gobsmacked. I can't get over it. But, folks, when we come back to Wrestling on the Spectrum, we're going to talk more about the best and worst wrestling weddings that were on television and who kissed who on wrestling television, all that and more when we come back to Wrestling on the Spectrum on the Lou Information Station, live and on demand at louinfo.com.
The Lou Information Station, a whole new way to enjoy content created just for those of us in the St. Louis area. It's a whole new way to advertise and promote your business. Reach out and find out just how different we are. If you're tired of one-sided advertising offerings or your traditional media rep trying to shove digital marketing down your throat, visit louinfo.com and click on advertising. Or email partnerships at louinfo.com for more information.
Lunchtime just got a whole lot better at Hot Shots Sports Bar and Grill. From mouth-watering wraps to loaded quesadillas to bold, flavor-packed sandwiches, Hot Shots has something fresh every single day, along with your favorite wings, burgers, and pizza that you know and love. And don't sleep on those Hot Shots tacos. Plus, if you gotta be in and out quick for lunch, Hot Shots has you covered every day starting at 11 a.m. Find your nearest Hot Shots Sports Bar and Grill now at hotshotsnet.com. That's hotshotsnet.com.
Is your brand stuck on the sidelines? Tired of feeling like your marketing budget is just warming the bench? Well, then it's time to get in the game with Eyesight Media. We don't just put your brand near the action, we put you in the action. Imagine this, your company front and center showcased in NCAA and pro stadiums and arenas nationwide. If you're ready to elevate your brand to MVP status, don't miss this shot. Visit eyesightmediagroup.com today to apply for an in-arena partnership. That's eyesightmediagroup.com.
Fast Track Auto Transport has been a trusted leader in vehicle shipping for over 25 years, providing reliable, affordable service across the U.S. Fast Track offers fast and safe transportation solutions for individuals, dealerships, fleets, and businesses of all sizes. The Fast Track team prides itself on honest communication, competitive pricing, and real-time tracking, which gives our customers peace of mind from pickup to delivery. Whether you're shipping a single car or managing a large fleet, Fast Track delivers a smooth, hassle-free experience every time. Come see why Fast Track Auto Transport has been St. Louis's go-to company for all your vehicle transport needs for over 25 years. The trusted way, the safe way, the fast track way. Visit ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004. That's ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004.
I'm Big Toe Media President Dave Green, and for the last few months, I've been telling you about what makes Home Bank different. Local people, local decisions, and real relationships. So let me take that a step further. When you walk into Home Bank, you're not walking into a system, you're walking into a conversation. This is a bank that understands St. Louis because they're part of it. The people making decisions live here, work here, and invest back into the same communities you do. That matters, especially when you need answers, flexibility, and a partner you can trust. Big banks can make promises. Home Bank builds relationships. If you're ready for a smarter, more personal banking experience, I'd encourage you to start that conversation today with Home Bank, the team behind our team. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. Home Bank, member FDIC. More than a bank, they're your business partner.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
At Brown and Crouppen, we get that after an accident, money's tight. That's why we offer so much for free. First call, free. First consultation, free. Stuck at home or in the hospital, we'll come to you for free. So call Brown and Crouppen, where we don't get paid unless you do. And your first consultation is free.
It's still will to be, damn it. Now back to more of Wrestling on the Spectrum with Brody the Brain Herman, JC and Patrico on the Lou Information Station. Streaming 24/7 at louinfo.com.
Alrighty then, welcome back to Wrestling on the Spectrum. Here we are going to talk about weddings. It's time for the wildest weddings, and we're going to dive into our first wedding. Edge and Vicky Guerrero, storyline wedding, ends up in a total disaster. This is back in July of 2008. Vicky Guerrero had a lot of love triangles in WWE. Former wife of Eddie Guerrero. Definitely one of these in wrestling history. Ends up in complete disarray thanks to Triple H and that infamous tape. That was interesting. Vicky Guerrero is an interesting figure in wrestling romances. I feel like she had a thing with Dolph Ziggler for a while too. Bobby Lashley and Lana's wedding in December of 2019, folks. Even though we all knew that Lana and Rusev were married to each other in real life, they still had a wedding. Made no sense. Lana and Dolph Ziggler also had a weird romance with each other. I think they even kissed on television. Still made no sense. Everybody knew Lana and Rusev were together in a relationship in real life. Bizarre to me. Just absolutely bizarre. Don't get it. Still don't get it. Now, I'm going to talk about this wedding for a second. This was a storyline wedding. Daniel Bryan and AJ Lee. Okay, we're going to talk a lot about AJ Lee this half. Daniel Bryan and AJ Lee ended up, they weren't married together in real life. Daniel Bryan is married in real life now to the lovely Brie Bella, and AJ Lee is married to CM Punk in real life. It is quite an interesting affair they had. Obviously, they kissed at WrestleMania 18. No doubt about it. Quite the interesting affair. AJ Lee's kissed a lot of wrestlers on television. She's kissed a lot of them. Just a lot. Okay. Macho Man Randy Savage and Elizabeth had a wedding. SummerSlam 1991. One of the biggest weddings ever in wrestling history. They got back together, even though they were quick in real life to divorce shortly after they had been a couple for a long time. However, on television, they were splitting off from each other. However, the fans wanted to see Randy Savage and Elizabeth together, and such unity. It was such a beautiful, harmonious marriage. It was just lovely. And of course, Lita's involved in a lot of weddings. Talked about this a little bit, but now we're going to dive in even further now to Edge and Lita, Lita and Kane. Lita also kissed Matt Hardy on television. So Lita's kissed at least 3 wrestlers we know Lita has kissed on television. If anybody wants to type into the YouTube chat of any other wrestlers Lita has kissed on television. I know at least 3. I don't know if she kissed CM Punk on television or not. Somebody will send that in to me. I don't know. We'll see. I think she's kissed at least 3. Okay, so let's see. AJ Lee's got her beat by 1, folks. Okay, keep the tally. AJ Lee has beat Lita by 1 of most wrestlers she has ever kissed on television. Keep that in mind. Now, let's go into the next disaster of a wedding. Obviously, Rusev and Lana were married in real life, and they had a wedding on WWE television back in August of 2016. So there you go. And by the way, it's like in wrestling, does anybody ever, whenever there's a cake on wrestling television, don't we know it's going to be used in some way as a weapon, wedding cake? It's always going to end up in disarray. Somebody's face is going into the cake. Could be Jim Cornette's. I don't know. Somebody's face is going into that cake. Okay. Butcher Vachon and Ophelia got married Tuesday Night Titans back in December of 1984. Butcher Vachon, they were giving him a push in WWE at that time. Obviously, everybody famously remembers Dave Schultz and the Pie. And Captain Lou Albano stole the show. I just want to put that out there. He stole the show.
That's one of my favorite characters in the history of
wrestling.
wrestling.
Isn't he great?
Captain Lou.
Captain Lou. He stole the show every time he was out there. And, of course, Raw.
He was involved in a love angle?
Oh, Lou Albano? Are you kidding me? It was Cyndi Lauper's music video. Girls just want to have fun. He wasn't involved in love angle, but he stole the show at the Butcher Vachon Ophelia wedding. And believe me, Ophelia was a word long existed before the Taylor Swift song that just came out this year. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, Raw 2002. This is the wedding Dave was talking about, the welding of the two fuses together. 1 year before their wedding, real life wedding, in 2003, they had a wedding on television. Now, fun fact about this, they drove in. They had that weird Vegas drive-in wedding where, a lot of people don't think Vegas weddings are real, but in this instance, and then Triple H revealed to Stephanie that it's real. No, weddings in Vegas are. Who crashes more weddings than Triple H? He's going out there. He's crashing this wedding. He's crashing that wedding. He's always crashing weddings. That's the one thing about Triple H is he's wrestling's best wedding crasher. I don't know, but it's possible. He crashes a lot of weddings. I don't know. Here's the thing about weddings in wrestling. Romance is an integral part of the sport. And without a doubt, it's one of these weird things that I don't get it. Now, there have been a lot of Valentine's Day inspired characters in wrestling. Brother Love's got to be near the top of the list. Bruce Pritchard, our friend, he's got his face painted red. Actually, he had inspiration from preachers down south, and that's how he came up with the Brother Love character. But there are a lot of other ones, too. Now, there's Valentine, a lot of wrestlers' last names. Greg Valentine, Johnny Valentine. And somehow, for all of this, Shawn Michaels is the Heartbreak Kid. Let's just have that in the whole thing. The Heartthrobs were a character for a while. That didn't pan out. They were actually called the Heartthrobs. And they had red trunks and white lettering. But now we got to talk about Eric Bischoff's favorite WWE memory. The Billy and Chuck wedding. Oh, that remember he had that weird mask on and he had and it wasn't supposed to be him, and then he peels that thing off and it's Eric Bischoff. Oh my gosh, whoa. And Stephanie's in the ring with her facial action and of gasp of shock and despair. My goodness, Eric Bischoff. This is one of those moments when you're just saying, my gosh, why? But Billy and Chuck, as insignificant as that tag team was, it's probably the only thing I remember, at least of Chuck's time in WWE, was probably the Billy and Chuck wedding. That's probably it. This is the only memorable thing that was in WWE during Chuck's tenure, Chuck Palumbo. I don't remember anything else about Chuck Palumbo in WWE. That's unforgettable of a wrestling career he had. But that wedding was infamous. Now, if we dive into what romance means in wrestling, it goes back to the hills. Guys feuding over girls. This is like in high school, when everybody's feuding with each other over that girl is nice. She's real fine. And then they're just feuding and they're bickering over her and they all are fawning over the girl. It's very common in wrestling. There are wrestlers that have fought in the love for affection of women, God dog it, but except in real life, they also do so as well. So without a doubt, now we're going to get to a fun final minutes of wrestling when we talk about wrestling kisses. Oh gosh, here we go. Now we've tallied this so far that Lita has kissed at least 3 on television, and at least AJ Lee has kissed 4 on television. CM Punk, okay, Kane, Daniel Bryan, and John Cena. Okay, we did 4. We're gonna mark this down. Okay, The Rock has kissed Trish Stratus, so Trish Stratus has kissed at least 2. Okay. Now, we know Eve Torres and Zach kissed. So Zack Ryder and Eve Torres kissed. That's something. That's something in the air. John Cena has kissed at least 3 on television, okay? Maria, Eve Torres, and Nikki Bella. He's kissed 3, okay? Kissed 3. Now, if any of you know, type into the YouTube chat how many kisses you think John Cena has had on television. How many wrestlers has AJ Lee kissed on television? You can type it into the YouTube chat. How many wrestlers has Beth Phoenix kissed on television? I count at least 3. Let me tell you the 3 I've got. Great Khali, Santino Marella, and Edge. So think about that. We got a wide range of spectrum. They're one of the tallest wrestlers ever, the goofiest wrestlers ever, and Edge. Think about that. Beth Phoenix has had a wide array of kisses on television. Folks, I want to type into the YouTube chat of how many wrestlers you think John Cena has kissed, how many AJ Lee has kissed, how many that Beth Phoenix has kissed. You can type it right into the YouTube chat. Lita, we've got at least 3. Now, we know Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan have kissed. The Valentine's Day brouhaha, we know all that happened last night. So at least that's there. And, of course, Savage and Elizabeth have kissed numerous times on television. Now, that is not counting the fact of how many women Vince McMahon has kissed on television. That's a lot. Now, Lana's got 3, okay? Lana's got Bobby Lashley, Dolph Ziggler, and Rusev. And then Trish Stratus has at least 2. At least 2. So we got 2 there. Are we still leading? I think we're still leading with 4. Still leading with 4. I can't believe I'm saying this. When The Rock kissed Mae Young, that was a real thing. I can't believe I'm saying that with a straight face.
Wow, what year was that?
How
old was Mae Young?
Mae Young was old. I got to remember that was like 2011, 12 maybe when that happened. Let's see.
What's your favorite? You named so many different wedding situations in wrestling, and they all kind of sounded like disasters.
Yeah.
What was your favorite angle that
you gotta go with Triple H and Stephanie. Come on now. Triple H and Stephanie getting married. How could you not? That was a real life wedding. Or Elizabeth and Randy, because everyone was so happy to see it. Those are my 2 favorite weddings. Power couples make great weddings. Seth and Becky have kissed. That's probably the preeminent couple today in wrestling television. They've kissed. That's another one. Hornswoggle's kissed a lot of women. Come on now. Every diva in the division, Hornswoggle has kissed them all. Every single one of them. It's at least 5 or 6. Brandy and Cody Rhodes, wrestling's power couple, they've kissed. Stacy Keibler and Randy Orton have kissed. Come on now. How many wrestlers has Randy Orton kissed on television? We're going to welcome into the studio. Ryan Swingler here is joining us on Wrestling on the Spectrum here. How many wrestling kisses can you name?
Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Randy Orton, didn't he kiss Stephanie when she was like passed
That's
out?
Right. That's right. When he was passed out. Yep.
Then Edge and Lita kissed.
Yeah, Edge and Lita kissed. How many wrestlers? How many wrestlers has Lita kissed on television, Ryan? Do you know this?
I'm going with 6.
It's actually probably lower than that, but
3.
There you go.
Yeah.
3. Can you name them?
Edge.
Yeah.
I don't know the other 2.
Matt Hardy and Kane talked about
she did
this.
Kiss Kane.
She did kiss Kane. That's right.
I can remember John Cena and I think AJ Lee. Right?
Yep. How many wrestlers has AJ Lee kissed on television, Ryan?
I know John Cena.
Yes.
CM Punk.
Yep.
Dolph Ziggler, right? No.
She may have kissed Ziggler. I only remember 4. Look at that. Ryan has named one maybe I don't even know, but yeah.
Kane.
She kissed Kane.
I think that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she kissed a lot of people.
You had mentioned Daniel Bryan. I think.
Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan.
I did mention Daniel Bryan earlier on in the episode.
Oh, Vicky Guerrero and
Vicky Guerrero. How about that? Vicky. Yeah, I mentioned Vicky Guerrero. Also. How many wrestlers has Vicky Guerrero kissed on television? I don't know if her and Eddie ever kissed on television.
That's what I was saying. I'm going with. I only remember Dolph.
Del Rio, Ziggler, and Edge. I would say are the 3 that Guerrero has kissed. Can you name all the wrestlers Beth Phoenix has kissed?
No, I don't.
How many wrestlers do you think she's kissed? Okay, Edge is one.
Yeah, I don't remember. Beth Phoenix? No.
Beth Phoenix, Great Khali, and you got this, Ryan. Santino Marella.
Oh yeah,
God.
Comedy.
What are your favorite romantic moments in wrestling, Ryan?
I don't know. I did like the little the love triangle between AJ Lee, Edge. Oh, I keep saying Edge. AJ Lee, Daniel Bryan, and Kane.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah.
What a weird time. AJ Lee was with everybody.
Yeah.
CM Punk, John Cena, Big E, Dolph Ziggler was with everybody. Did she kiss Big E?
Yeah, she did.
She kissed Big E. All right. What is that? Is that what Brian's number originally had for Lita's up to 6?
Yeah.
At least 6. He claims 6. Somebody
Yeah.
find the video of her kissing Big E. She probably did it.
Yeah.
She's kissing everybody. So does that mean she's wrestling's? Is she the biggest kissing diva than ever?
I think so. Oh, another kiss I remember is Eve and John Cena, right?
Right. Eve is one of
Yeah.
them. Now, Eve has kissed at least 2 wrestlers. Eve has kissed Cena, and she's kissed Zack Ryder.
Yeah.
Now, Ryder, Chelsea Green, and I don't know if it's on TV. Well, he's done it on the Indies. The Rock kissed Trish Stratus, so Trish Stratus is at 2. At least 2. Ryan, what are your favorite wrestling Valentine's Day memories ever in wrestling?
I don't really remember Valentine's Day. Like,
Yeah. Oh, Mark Henry's sexual chocolate.
what?
Yes. Oh, we talked about this earlier, but Mark Henry was called sexual chocolate, and he had a relationship with Mae Young, and he gave birth to a hand.
That was
He had to explain that one to me, Ryan.
I listen.
So
Sexual
confused.
chocolate to me means coming to America. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he was
Genuinely
called.
Super confused about that.
all right, let me ask you both
Yeah.
this question:
Sure.
the wrestler you would most like to have at your wedding
Oh my gosh. So it could be male or female. We got to
could
talk
be
about
male
female.
or female. You're not marrying this person, but the
I
wrestler.
want
you
Michael.
would-
I want Michael Hayes singing Jailhouse Rock.
I thought for sure you would say that. How about for you, Ryan?
R-Truth.
R-Truth.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. No, he wouldn't go to the
Like-
right wedding.
Yeah, he'd be like, Am I supposed to be here?
Am I supposed to be at this wedding?
Am I supposed to be the groom?
Yeah.
All right. How about this one? Wrestler you'd most like to marry.
Oh my God. You gotta go with Stephanie. Come on. You gotta go. I'm going with Stephanie. All that money, all that power. She's got powerful presence, God dog. You gotta go with Stephanie.
I don't know. I'll shoot my shot at Roxanne Perez. I don't know.
That's great. Roxanne Perez dating somebody, but he's in NXT right now, so he's not on the main roster.
Oof, she can't be my Valentine, I guess.
Well, listen, what wrestler isn't dating another wrestler? Randy Orton is now. I got to count the wrestlers that aren't actually dating other wrestlers. That's another thing. Now, Lex Luger and Miss Elizabeth had a thing outside of the ring, but I don't think that ever came into the wrestling persona of in the ring. I would not believe. I don't think so. I don't think that's ever happened. I could be wrong on that. My gosh, Eddie Guerrero though. I mean, he's had a few wrong. China. Dave was just talking about China. Triple H, X-Pac, Eddie Guerrero. Had a tag team soiree with Kane for a while, so that's definitely up there. Trying to think of the wrestlers. Who are the wrestlers then that have the least amount of romance on television? Then I don't remember Gail Kim having a big romantic relationship. Do we remember? I don't think Gail ever had a big romantic relationship. I don't think that's ever happened. It's quite interesting and
I
bizarre.
feel like most wrestlers get into like a romantic relationship on television somewhat.
Yep.
You feel like they almost have to at some
it's
point,
like,
right?
Have to.
At some point something happens to where like they get in like a romantic thing with somebody.
Well,
have
you
to.
just said it. It's first of all, it's the male soap opera, right? So
Yep.
you got to have the drama, and what's bigger drama, as you said earlier, than guys fighting over girls.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about what's happening this Valentine's Day and current situation, Brody? Keep us up to date on what's going on.
Valentine's Day, what's going on right now in the world of wrestling? We got Elimination Chamber coming up down the pike. We have a odd title change I referred to earlier of Kyle Fletcher actually beat Tommaso Ciampa for the TNT Championship. So basically, he only held it for a little bit. So basically, they're passing the belts all around each other for no apparent reason.
What was his WWE career? I don't know much about it.
Tommaso Ciampa, he started in WWE 2016, primarily had a lot of feuds with Johnny Gargano, spent a lot of time in NXT, and then he ended up tag teaming with him on the main roster, DIY, and then he didn't want to tag with Johnny Gargano anymore, so he's like, I'm going to AEW. I don't want to tag with this guy anymore. I want to be a single star. I want to be the Psycho Killer. And that's what he is.
AEW brought him in really, really nice. Like his entrance for his first time was super, super cool.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Thought he was over. Now, if you look at those in wrestling, Rusev, Lana, and Summer Rae is another love triangle that we missed. Thank you, Jeremy, for the contributions to the chat. Are just lovely, by the way, on this lovely, lovely occasion for Valentine's Day. One of the better things about wrestling Valentine's Day, all those segments on Raw when they had all the dates, when all the red petals are in the back. You have a wrestler having that date night thing, and just it would be odd because they do something weird. But yeah, I mean, a lot is going on in wrestling right now. Currently, Valentine's Day. What about bringing back St. Valentine's Day Massacre? Wouldn't that be an interesting pay-per-view to bring back? One of the last in your houses in wrestling history. One of the last in your houses ever in wrestling history. And then in one I forgot, Trish Stratus, Chris Jericho, and Christian. So Chris Jericho, how many female wrestlers has he interacted with on television? Stephanie McMahon, Trish Stratus. Okay, Trish Stratus is from Canada. What else do we got? How many people we got going on right now? Oh
Yeah,
my
I
god!
forgot about Trish Stratus. I remember her from my WWE versus Raw.
Yeah, old
2007.
Trish.
Yeah.
Old Trish. Now, old as the hills obviously is Randy. Adrian Street always had his lovely wife with him everywhere. He was kind of a glam rock wrestler who wrestled in Mid-South. Miss Linda was her name. Miss Linda was the wrestler. His wife always had accompanying with him. So, a lot of wrestlers are very protective of their loved ones in the locker room. Randy Savage, very protective of Elizabeth. I'm sure Triple H, very protective of Stephanie. Try to think that who's the most protective wrestler that has ever endured in the locker room. Not sure, but that'd be interesting. Somebody can write into YouTube chat of all this stuff. It's great. You know what it is? It's Valentine's Day wrestling on the Spectrum is like Gossip Girl. We're just there and we're gossiping about wrestlers and their wives. That's what we do. We're guys talking about wrestlers and their wives. But that's what Valentine's Day is all about. It's what it's all about. All of us is sitting here gossiping about their wives. There's nothing better than that. And of course, I'm going to follow up, obviously, the social media post we talked about the faction story, why I picked Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, and the Midnight Express. So Cornette has told the story. If anyone wants to do the long-form version on YouTube, go look it up, why the Midnight Express and the Horsemen didn't merge. It was a real story, so I'll talk about it here. Jim Herd hated the Midnight Express. So Cornette pitched. I'm going to move to commentary. Bobby and Stan, Ric Flair, and Arn Anderson, because Tully Blanchard failed a drug test, and Jim Herd would not bring him in. So they were going to do the Midnight Express and Four Horsemen merger. And the female in the group that was going to manage them was woman, Nancy Benoit. So that was actually going to happen until Jim Herd messed it all up. And Jim Herd is from St. Louis, by the way. I doubt he's listening. I don't think he's listening. I hope he's not listening. But he messed a lot of things up in wrestling. So what is the biggest turning point in wrestling history? I'll tell you what it is. WCW naming Jim Herd in charge of WCW. When Turner Broadcasting made Jim Herd in charge of WCW, was the most pivotal moment in wrestling history. WCW had already lost the war. It didn't matter bringing in Vince Russo. That was like beating a dead horse. I know I beat up Vince Russo a lot, but by the time Russo got there, the ship had already sailed. Jamie Kellner ultimately pulled the plug, but come on now. It was already dead by that point. Bischoff, in the NWO thing, kept it up a little bit for a while and, brought the plane up a little bit up to, surface level. But basically, the plane was already going downhill in WCW. I mean, it just was. It wasn't going anywhere. Come on. WCW was a nothing burger at that point in time. It just wasn't. And I think when Jim Herd was hired in WCW in 89, when Turner first bought WCW and named him in charge, was ridiculous. He needled in Ric Flair's booking. Ric Flair became the booker. Now, obviously, George Scott was a disaster at that point. The only good thing that came out of the George Scott regime was that Ricky Steamboat rivalry that he gave us was such a beautiful gift. That was actually during February of 1989. Speaking of anniversaries in February, that's going on right now. But a lot of we're talking a lot about February today. You know what it is? But that's wrestling. That's wrestling. A lot goes on in February, right? Lots going on over at ringclassics.com. Let me tell you all about ringclassics.com. Ringclassics.com has all of the podcasts you possibly could want. Conrad has got a new platform for you all. It is going to be amazing. You can listen to all of the Conrad podcasts. Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff, Grill and JR with Jim Ross, My World with Jeff Jarrett, What Happened with Tony Schiavone, and he's got a new podcast, Have More Money Now. It is titled after JBL's book, John Bradshaw Layfield. They got a new podcast going, Curtain Jerkers, a lot of new content going on there. Casio Kids got a boatload of podcast over there on ringclassics.com. Go to your Play Store, Google Play Store, your App Store, get ringclassics.com. So much great content there. Your bonus content goes down to $13 a month. Bonus content that includes show notes, merchandise, so much more on ringclassics.com. It is an absolute treat for every wrestling fan. Of course, their next event coming up in Nashville, that is on Memorial Day weekend, May 29th through May 31st. Jeff Jarrett is going to be there and is going to be an absolute treat for you all. Ringclassics.com. Go to that app store right now. I want you all who are listening to download ringclassics.com. That is going to be where you're going to find all of it. No more ad-free shows, no more Patreon. It's adfreeshows.com. And, that's great. A lot of wrestling nostalgia's on there, a lot of great belts that Conrad's collected over the years. So much great stuff is on there. So much bonus content that I've talked about. It's a lot going on over at ringclassics.com. And of course, for Wrestling on the Spectrum, we've got a lot of content coming down the pike at Wrestling on the Spectrum on YouTube, at Wrestling on the Spectrum on Instagram, at Wrestling on the Spectrum on TikTok, at Wrestling OTS on X. That's right. It's at Wrestling OTS on X. All of those are our socials, Wrestling on the Spectrum Facebook page. I know this day was a little bit unconventional, but it's Valentine's Day, and we were acting like we're just talking wrestling, like we're on Gossip Girl, because that's what Valentine's Day is all about, gossiping and spending time with your loved one with a box of chocolates, some flowers, chocolate-covered strawberries, and, of course, popping open your favorite alcoholic beverage or just beverage in general, a little bit of champagne. Nothing better than that. This was Wrestling on the Spectrum on the Lou Information Station, live and on demand at louinfo.com.
From Clayton to Collinsville, if people in the St. Louis area are talking about it, so are we. The Lou Information Station, streaming 24/7 at louinfo.com.
Is your brand stuck on the sidelines? Tired of feeling like your marketing budget is just warming the bench? Well, then it's time to get in the game with Eyesight Media. We don't just put your brand near the action, we put you in the action. Imagine this.